Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Sagittarius and love. And yes, it does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing I look at as far as Sagittarius and love goes, well, Sagittarius is a sign which may have a hard time finding that commitment with someone. Sagittarius is very light, very breezy. They don't take a lot of things seriously, and it takes a lot for them to find a love relationship that they can take seriously. Sagittarius can be very whimsical, very capricious. They like to joke around with people. Sagittarius can have that perpetual, I should say, bachelor or bachelorette syndrome. A lot of them are just very hard to pin down in love. It's like Gemini, but with Gemini, it's more of just not being able perhaps to have their variety and their general enjoyment in life about things becoming too mundane, monotonous, and tedious in general. I think with Sagittarius, sometimes it's literally being confined inside. Sagittarius can often be enamored with the outdoors. Sagittarius is very adventurous. They often like to travel a lot too, and take a lot of long distance journeys, even foreign countries. So I think it's more of with Sagittarius, they just don't want to be too stagnant and stay in one certain place even for a while. Now, the thing about Sagittarius and love is that they, on one positive side with Sagittarius, okay, they could be very jocular and very jovial. And they could be the real somebody that can bring their significant other to really great spirits if they are in the doldrums. Sagittarius, though, can be very blunt and very outspoken. It's generally not to be malicious, but Sagittarius really does not want to beat around the bush, and they will not mince words. If there's something going on in a love relationship, or they think that the partner's philandering or being promiscuous or sleeping around, Sagittarius will often call the person out on it. Now, at the same time, Sagittarius, being a mutable sign, can be very adaptable, and they might let one affair maybe go by the wayside, so to speak, and not worry about it or be forgiving about it. But at the same time, we all have our points of endurance regardless of zodiac sign. Sagittarius often will like to go on adventures with somebody in love. They're very adventurous. They like exploration. They can often go on expeditions or excursions. They can be very travel-minded. Now, the thing about Sagittarius, though, is that, okay, they really are not going to be into somebody in a love relationship that might be overly domineering or possessive. Sagittarius is not a sign that really likes to be confined for too long. They like their freedom and they like their independence, and they don't want anyone or anything inhibiting or prohibiting that. And really, the thing about Sagittarius, of course, in a love relationship could be very compatible with Leo and with Aries, and might not do as well, say, with a water sign, because Sagittarius, being very blunt, frank, and outspoken, but brutally honest and frank, they could hurt the water sign's feelings very easily with this frankness, and the water sign people may think that the Sagittarius is rather insensitive to them. Sagittarius, though, in love themselves, they could be somewhat flighty, and the thing about it is, I mean, if Sagittarius is truly in love, I think they can stabilize and really and stay with with their lover and that significant other. The thing you got to remember, though, is that Gemini, in a natal or solar chart, Gemini will fall on the 7th house cusp of relationships, and Gemini is a dual sign. So keep that in mind. Sagittarius, really, it's interesting because I knew a woman one time that has Sagittarius rising, and I heard her say something one time to the effect to someone that, is it possible for a woman to love two men? And I guess she meant in a romantic way, and I thought that was interesting given the fact that she has Gemini on the 7th house cusp of relationships and has Sagittarius rising. Very interesting. And anyway, the thing about Sagittarius too, as I stated before, they don't like the domineering, possessive thing going on in a relationship. They are not ones to be ordered or driven. They really don't want anybody dictating the course of action to them. Somebody overly authoritative and overly bossy, they could really be rebuffed by, and that's something that they really will not be into in a love relationship. And the thing about Sagittarius too is that they will have difficulty being compatible with somebody in a romantic relationship that might be overly despondent or melancholy. They generally do not like being around sad people. Most people don't, but Sagittarius especially. They are ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius, of course, very jovial, very jovial, very optimistic. They're very expansive as well. And they feel that if they're going to be around someone like that, it could put them in the doldrums, and that could put them in a state of trepidation right there, to say the least. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Sagittarius and love, and stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about Capricorn and love. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel, but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.